This is another archival upload of my previous mix critique videos. Again, I apologize for the vertical format that this video is about to switch to. This is 96 through 100. This track was sent in by Cody. Alright, this is really close to being awesome already. The guitars need a limiter on them. They sound a little too loose. The drums need a bit more compression, probably just on the drum bus. Other than that, it's sounding really good so far. That bass tone is killer. Honestly, the guitars might not need a limiter. I think just back the bass down a little bit and bring the guitars up a little bit, and that will probably fix that problem. Also, the kick and snare are poking out a little too far over the top of everything. You got to get the balance of those a little bit better. Honestly, man, that was really solid. All the tones are really good. I think you just need to spend a little more time balancing the faders. It really just sounded like certain things needed to come up or go down a little bit. And if you spend a little more time on the faders and maybe added a little bit of mix bus compression so that everything gelled a little bit better, I think this could be a really solid mix. This track was sent in by Nicholas. The guitar tone in the intro sounded awesome, but when that snare came in, the snare is way too far over the top, especially with this kind of like military beat in the background for the intro. I would definitely have that sitting way farther back in the mix. Alright, you have a lot of mud in the drums. You can probably just take it out of the drum bus because it sounds like it's in literally all of the drums. You also have a little too much harshness in the upper mids, which is probably coming from the guitars and the cymbals. Also, the compression on the drums sounds really artificial. You probably have the attack on the compressor way too fast. Sounds like it's cutting off the transient on most of the drums. Alright, so it wasn't too bad, but it sounds like you have a real problem with over compression. Sounds like you're just squashing everything in the whole mix. Especially the drums, the attack on all of the drum compressors is way too fast. It's definitely cutting off the transient of the drum, so you're not really getting the fullness of the attack of all of the drums. Like, you need to let things breathe a little bit. I would also really like to hear the bass a little bit more. Yeah, those are really the main things. You're over compressing things, especially the drums, and the bass needs to cut through more. The track was sent in by Michael. No to living, you are love. The piano and the strings sounded really good in the intro, and then the vocals came in, and the vocals don't sound good. They sound like they were recorded in an untreated room. They're out of tune. The general tone of them doesn't fit the vibe of the track. And weekend, time has worn me. Alright, you also have the vocals doubled there. Doubling the vocal helps to make things sound bigger, which is great for things like choruses, but in a soft intro like this, you don't want that. You don't want the multiple vocal takes playing off of each other. You just want that singular vocal right up the middle to catch your attention. Alright, dude, that wasn't a song. You basically had a 3-minute long intro. Like, there was no evolution other than when the vocals kicked in right in the beginning. Like, there was no rhythmic element at all to, like, actually feel the track. Like, that, to me, sounds like either an intro or, especially with the doubled vocals, if you're trying to do, like, a gang vocal style outro at the end of the song, like, after the big chorus, you know, instruments fade out, more vocals come in, like, it's like 20 people singing at once. Like, that's the kind of vibe that this has, and, like, it's not a whole song. It's part of a song at best. The track was sent in by Mike. Alright, everything sounds really thin. It sounds like, and it's not like an overall thinness that can be like defined by a single frequency range or anything. It sounds like you just like high passed and low passed every individual element way more than it needed to be. In the intro, I thought that was like an intentional effect and it was gonna open up after that, and it didn't. Like, the whole track sounds like it's missing a lot of the frequency spectrum. It sounds super empty. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, the drums are a little too far over the top of everything else, but, like, I can't even really think of actionable advice to give you because Just everything individually sounds so thin. I would probably have to look at the mix and see what the fuck's going on with each individual instrument for me to even be able to begin to tell you how to go about fixing this. Like, the only way I can describe it is, have you ever taken like a paper towel tube, like a cardboard tube, and held it to your ear and plugged the other one? Like, that's how this whole track sounds, is like I'm listening through a cardboard tube. It's almost like you printed the reverb track and not the actual mix itself. It sounds like you were recording the drums, but like the track the drummer was playing along to was bleeding into the drum mics. We made it to 100. This one was sent in by Tim. Okay, this track is sounding like it has the same problem the last track did. So just for a second, I'm gonna listen to something else to make sure that I'm not fucking crazy, because 2 in a row like this is bizarre. Nope, it's not me. Yeah, dude, it just sounds like you threw a blanket over the mix. It's the same thing as the last one. It sounds like I'm listening through a cardboard tube. It sounds like you were recording the drums and the track the drums were playing along to was bleeding into the drum mics, and that's all we're getting. Anyway, again, I don't know how to tell you to go about fixing this, just like the last one I did. Everything sounds super thin. It sounds like you've gutted most of the frequency range in almost every instrument. The drums are definitely way too loud. That's part of the problem. But like, this needs to be a remix from the ground up. I don't know, man. I really don't have much advice to give you, but I don't know. You're mix critique number 100, Tim. So I'll tell you what, if you want me to remix this track, I will remix this track for you for free. Just hit me up. And then I can even use that as an example to show the previous guy what needs to be done for their track, because there's no advice I can give on this really, other than just the fact it needs to be remixed from scratch.